Hello, this video is for my freshman level students. I'm going to talk about what we're doing this week. So let's go ahead and get right to it. There we go. Alright, so if you jump onto Canvas, you're going to go to modules and you'll see that we're going to continue our work in Module 8. And so this week, the work's kind of light. Okay, I think you guys will be able to get through it rather quickly. It's not going to be too hard, not going to be too difficult, but we are going to talk about a very challenging topic. We're going to be talking about tone. And so understand that when we talk about tone, what we're doing is we're talking about the way that writers or artists or anyone really creating anything that has a story behind it, we're talking about how they feel about their subject matter. Okay, there are these two things that English teachers like to talk about. We like to talk about mood and we like to talk about tone. Okay, mood is the feeling that you get from a work. However, tone is the message, it's the attitude that we get from the author or the artist or the poet. And so that's what we're going to look at this week. So if you click on 8.3, that's going to be our lesson. If you go on that first page, I have a quick write activity for you to work on, and it's really super easy, but it also makes a valuable point here. So I'm going to put you guys in a scenario. Okay, this quick write, I only need about 3 sentences at least from you. Of course, you can do more writing if you'd like. But you are going to imagine that you just received a text message from your friend to hang out with them after school today. But however, you're going to write 3 different text messages, and each of these text messages are going to express a different tone. They're going to express a different attitude that you have depending on the situation that you're in. So your first text, you will write it as if, and you have to role play here a little bit on this, you're going to write as if you've been bored at home all day. As if you've been sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs with nothing to do, your little brothers and sisters have been annoying you, you are so ready to leave the house, and you're looking for any excuse and any opportunity to go hang out with your friends. That's going to be your first text message. Your second text message is going to go along with this right here. Okay, you're going to play along with this scenario. That you're sad and you want to be alone. Okay? If you're sad and you want to be alone, you probably don't want to hang out with your friends that day. So write a text message that works with that. And then the last one, the last scenario, I want you to write a text message as if you're angry with that friend, but they aren't aware of it. And so these 3 text messages, as we can imagine, are going to sound entirely different from each other. And I do have a few examples here that can help you. And you can't steal my examples. You have to come up with your own. So for example, if you've been bored at home all day, you might reply with, OMG, yes, I can't wait to hang out. Finally something to do. Okay? Notice how the tone of this text message is a little more happy, a little more enthusiastic than this next example I'm going to give you, where you're feeling sad and alone. So this next text reply sounds like this. Sorry, I can't. Honestly, I don't feel like getting ready to go anywhere. Talk to you later, TTYL. Okay? Do you hear how the attitude kind of changes here? And then lastly, for the last text, you're going to pretend like you're angry with that friend, but they aren't aware of it. Alright? And so you might do something short. You might do something really vague and cryptic. You might say, nah, I can't. Or you might say something with maybe a little more venom in it, like, not after what you did. Okay, so it's really up to you. Try not to use my examples. Try to come up with your own. And I think this is going to be a fun activity. I'm eager to see what you guys do here. Okay, the next activity, this is actually a lesson. This is a lesson that we're going to look at right now to teach us about how loaded language can really affect the tone of your work. How it can affect what the readers sense and what they take away from what you write. So, like I said, understand that the tone is the author's attitude towards a subject or toward their audience. Okay, the tone of your text messages are going to change because of your attitude, right? And so think about how your attitude or your tone not only may affect the sound of your text message, but how might they affect your friend's mood after they receive it. Okay, these are really important. And we have to consider, too, that one way that readers create tone is by using loaded words. Now, loaded words, loaded language refers to when we have words that we use that have positive and negative connotations attached to it. Okay? For example, you guys know what a bureaucrat is. A bureaucrat is somebody that might work for the IRS, and they're not really seen in the most positive light. Okay, if you're a bureaucrat, you're a pencil pusher, a paper pusher, you like to do a lot of boring work, you like to make other people's lives more difficult, okay, you like to follow rules to a point where it's debilitating to your goals. And, if we assign someone the role as a bureaucrat, it's not seen as more positive than if we were to refer to a bureaucrat maybe working for the IRS as a public servant. All right, think about the positive connotations attached to that. If you're a public servant, you're somebody who is, you know, giving up your time and energy to make the world a better place. Okay? You're hired by the state, therefore, you are a public servant doing your very best. Okay, that's just one example. But we have other loaded words as well. Like, for example, hero. Hero has positive connotations attached to it. Evil. If you describe someone as evil, that's very negative. Same thing with victim, too. If we call somebody a victim, okay, that might take power away from them. Okay, we see that as negative. We see them as weak. When really, you could have a really strong person be a victim, too. Okay, freedom is another example of loaded language. And really, these are examples of loaded language because they are feelings and they speak to our sense of morals and ethics. Okay, they have feelings attached to them. And so in this presentation, you'll see there's a list here of tone words, words that have positive and negative connotations to it, and then there's some neutral connotations there in the middle. Like, for example, if you're demanding, that's seen as negative. If you're frustrated, that seems as negative. However, words with positive connotations, hopeful, excited, happy. Okay, that might help you with describing tone. Also, if you were to look at these words using a resource like thesaurus.com, okay, you're going to find other synonyms that describe your tone words as well. Okay, so for example, here is thesaurus.com being used to find synonyms for angry. Okay, angry, we have a lot of negative feelings attached to that because it's a very negative word. Okay, if you're angry, that's usually a bad thing, even though anger is sometimes justified. Even though anger can sometimes be a good thing, that helps relationships grow, that helps people learn more about each other, that has people actually, start to fight for a good action instead of continuing, more passively. Okay, being angry is not always a bad thing. However, we have a lot of negative connotations attached to that word. And so what you can do, if you're not quite sure if your word or your language really fits what you're trying to write, if you don't think it's adding or improving the mood, what you can always do is you can always go on to thesaurus.com and maybe look for a better word. Okay, if you think angry is too negative, well, maybe go on here and look for sullen or offended. Okay, those seem maybe a little more positive way to say the same thing. But here's an example right here. And so we have these 5 words here. Laid back, calm, deadbeat, relaxed, lazy. They all mean the same thing. Okay? Means they're not really doing much, you're a little inactive. Alright? But all of these words have different connotations. They have different meanings behind them. Okay, we have more negative and we have more positive. So out of all of these, I think probably the most insulting would be deadbeat. Alright? I wouldn't want anyone referring to me as a deadbeat. That's rude. And so I'm probably going to put that way, way, way at the bottom of the scale. Okay, maybe after that, lazy has a lot of negative connotations as well. Okay, imagine if I called you guys lazy. Alright? Is that going to encourage you? Is that going to inspire you to try to work harder and do better? No, that's probably going to make you feel more discouraged and more upset. It's probably going to make you shut down. That's not a good idea. However, if I described you as being more laid back, okay, that definitely has more positive meaning behind it, doesn't it? And so I think out of all of these, the most positive example would be calm, right? Because don't we all want to be calm? Don't we all want to be relaxed? Certainly. And so I'm going to have you guys do this on your own, okay? And you're not going to do it right here. You're going to do it on another page. But we see 5 words here. Slender, scrawny, anorexic, bony, underweight. They all describe the same thing. Okay? They describe somebody as thin. However, these words have different connotations, different meanings behind them. Okay? Some of them more negative, some of them quite positive. And so what I'm going to have you guys do this week on your own is I want you to put these 5 words in order, from those with the most negative connotations to those with the most positive. Okay? It's real easy. Real easy work this week. And so, if we go on to the next page here, you're going to see that same slides presentation that we saw. Alright? And what's going to happen is, there's a blue button up here that'll say Submit Assignment. And you know what? I'll bring it up in my student view so you can see it, how you would see it. So you'll look at something like this. And what you're going to do, you're going to click Start Assignment, and in the text box, you're going to number them 1 to 5. 1 being most negative, and 5 being most positive. And you're going to try to rank these as having the most negative to the most positive connotations. So number 1. Okay. That'll be your most negative. And then you'll go up to 5, and that'll be your most positive. On the next page, alright, we're going to do a quiz, and this quiz is pretty easy, okay? In this, you're going to watch a scene, and you're going to determine the tone of these videos. So we have a clip from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then we have another clip from the short Scarecrow animation. So what you're going to do is you're going to watch these videos, and you are going to determine what the tone is of these videos. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they traumatic? Are they gleeful? Are they suspenseful? And using that word chart that I have on the other page, you're going to describe the tone as best as you can to these videos. And you're going to do so here in this text box. Alright, it's real easy. This shouldn't take you too long. Okay? So when you're done, I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. No, there's one more assignment that I want you to do. I lied. Now we're going to look at author's tone for videos, but I also want you guys to consider what we read last week about Cinderella's stepsisters. So we read this commencement speech. We read this the speech by Toni Morrison in the late 1970s at the tail end of the women's rights movement during that decade. And she kind of made a call to action to those graduating class of women. And she was encouraging, wasn't she? That's how you'd probably describe her tone. But there are other ways you can describe it as well. So what I did here, if you look at this presentation, there's a quote here from the speech that we read last week. Okay, you're going to read the quote to yourself, and you're going to identify the language in it that has strong or negative connotations attached to it. Okay? And you're going to identify which words are positive and which words are negative by using the highlighting feature. Okay? And so what you would do is you would come up here to the top, you click the highlighter, and maybe you'd want to do positive words in yellow. It doesn't matter what kind of yellow you choose. You can pick any kind of yellow. But you'll highlight the positive, and then you'll also highlight the negative words in red. And then you'll answer the 2 questions. What is the tone of the quote? And how do you know that? When I ask you how do you know something, I'm looking for evidence. So give me quotes. Give me examples from this quote that support the interpretation that you're making. Okay? Tell me what a word means. Tell me the loaded language behind the word. Why is it important? Why is it powerful? Okay? And that is what we're doing this week. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know the proper channels to reach me. And take care of yourselves, and bye.